Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, audible.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for joining the session. Today, just an intro session. We are not going much towards the subject point of view because today's session is just like a demo. And based on this today's discussion, we'll tell you the directions about the course agenda and how the course goes into the roadmap in the next 2 weekends. So we'll go along with all the things. What are the things are going to cover in this course? At the same moment, uh, like what are the highlights of this course? By the end of this course, what we are going to achieve. So all the things I'm going to introduce it today. Okay. So the actual sessions are going to start from tomorrow. That is every day. That is 2 weekends I planned starting from tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, and next week Saturday and Sunday. Totally 5 hours per each day. That means 4 days into 5 hours. Totally 20 hours session. So tomorrow 5 hours and day after tomorrow 5 hours, like that next weekend, 5 hours, 5 hours. So we'll give a break in between the time, like 2.5 hours something. There is no constant discussion. We'll give a short break also, immediate to the next. We'll take it a break, small breaks, and we'll go on closely. And of course, it is very much interesting also. It will not going bored. Why? Because it is not a theory, right? It is mixed up with a combination of theory and practical things. So whenever there is a practical things in our class, so even though if you are taking more time, it will not give bored. If the theory is continuously there, continuously theory, then you people will feel bored. Because in my experience, I trained these weekend batches and regular sessions. So I doesn't feel that much when we are going to provide this kind of training environment. All right, guys. So just want to give some heads up on this before going to start. So let me introduce myself first. So my name is Sai, and I have close to the 16 years experience on Java and Android platforms, and even the front end and different cloud technologies. And currently, I'm working as a senior architect. Okay, so in one of the IT company. So that is what my thing. And coming to the training, on the teaching background. So I not started any screen share, guys. I will let you know once I start the screen share. Okay. Thank you. So coming my training teaching experience I started from the 2007, almost from that 2007 onwards. First I started my journey with Nourish Technologies as a training on Java and etc. After that I came to the DURGASOFT. So I have some short break with DURGASOFT uh, due to some work pressure and all those things. I left the I just a gap actually. Okay, so now I came back again. I have a plan to go with weekend batches first, and based on my convenience and all, we'll try to go the things parallelly. So that is the agenda, guys. So that is what my introduction. So almost I trained more than 500 plus batches on CoreJava, Advanced Java, Struts, okay, EJB, RESTful Web Services, SOAP Web Services, Android, um, whatever it may be. So I have I gave the training and all the things in my career. So I have both practical experience towards the things what we have. Okay, so let me start the screen sharing. Where is my? Let me share my screen. So guys, let me know. Are you able to see my screen or not?
Yeah, same.
Okay, fine. So the point is, when we are going to uh, cover, so what are the, let me talk about the Spring Boot with microservices course roadmap. Okay, so what we are going to learn. So as we discussed, there are totally 2 weekends plan, that is Saturday and Sunday, and again next coming week Saturday and Sunday. So each day 5 hours. So that is the plan. So Saturday and Sunday and Saturday and Sunday. Totally 2 weekends I'm planning, each day 5 hours. So this will complete the total course, and I will provide my own material and also the whole session recordings. Okay, so I will provide my own material and also the whole session recordings. So no need to write any notes from your end. Just watch carefully what I am explaining in the class, and also I will give you a separate time for you people to ask the questions. What are the doubts you have based on our discussion topics? Okay, so that is the plan. So you can write your questions, what you are going to ask to me as separate. When I give some time, you can ask those questions. Okay, so in between the class, if you are posting something on the chat, okay, I cannot answer those things in between the class. Okay, I will give a separate time for question and answers. In between of every topic completion, I will ask the questions. At that time, you can, whatever the things you have in your mind, you can clarify the same. Okay, so these are the 2 points first I want to discuss with everyone. So totally 2 weekends plan of this course roadmap. So each day 5 hours it will be take. So totally 4 into 5, totally 4 days, right? 2 weekends means 4 days, 4 into 5, 20 hours. So I will provide my own material. So notes will be there, and that frequently asked interview questions will be there in that material. So including the diagrams, architectures, everything will be there. And also this course is going to update with the latest version of the Spring Boot and all those things. And also completely from starting from today till the end of the session, complete recordings I'm going to provide to you. So if you guys miss any of the thing due to some internet issues or something, if you want to recap the sessions, you can go to the session recordings. All right, guys. So these are the highlights. And another important highlight is each concept will demonstrate with real-time use cases. So this is the another important part, guys. So when I'm demonstrating each and every concept in my course, we are going to provide with real-time use cases. Real-time is nothing but our software company. So when you join in the software company, right, when you got allocated to the project, there are the different use cases will come in the project. Use cases are nothing but the requirements, right? The client requirement. Based on that only you have to develop the software. So when we are going to talk about each and every concept, we are trying to demonstrate all the real-time use cases. So what are the cases we have? So we'll talk about those things in more detail. So I will explain what is the purpose of this concept, where we are going to use it exactly. Okay, so we'll talk about all those things in more detail, guys. Okay, so the point is the next point, prerequisites. So what are the prerequisites to learn this course? So what are the prerequisites to learn this course? Of course, if the people definitely have from Java background, Java means Java means what you need to say, something like CoreJava, Advanced Java, the people who are from the Java background. So that is a very much important thing to understand this course. So what about the Spring framework? Okay, so Spring framework, if you have a knowledge on the Spring framework, that is fine, not a problem. If you don't know the Spring framework, how it works and all, that is also not a problem, because we'll cover the touch points of the Spring framework also along with my course roadmap. So people who are not familiar with the Spring framework, okay, if you have only the knowledge on core Java and advanced Java something, you are absolutely eligible for this course. Don't worry, guys. Okay, so that is an important thing. People are raising the hands. Suresh and Ashish, a couple of folks are raising the hands here. Guys, I will give you the time to answer your questions. Okay, uh, uh, I will give the answer. Okay, so whatever the answer of the course, whatever the things you have planned, please note your questions separately. I will give a separate time for you people to ask your questions and all in the end of the session. Okay, guys, I will clear all your doubts. First, listen what I'm saying. So, so that is the point, guys, what you need to understand first before going to start the things. Okay, so these are the 4 points. Now, let us start our introduction today. What is Spring Boot? Why we need to go for Spring Boot? That is the important point. The question is, why Spring Boot? So we'll start our introduction today. Okay. So Spring Boot is a framework. Spring Boot is a framework which was developed by the Pivotal team. Okay. Which was developed by the Pivotal team and released in the market in the year of 2014. So Spring Boot is an open source framework. Spring Boot is a open source framework released in the year of 2014. And who developed this framework? This framework was developed by the Pivotal team. Pivotal. Some people will call it as Pivotal. Some people will call it as Pivotal. Actual pronunciation is Pivotal. So Pivotal is one of the organization, community, you can say something like, the people introduced the Spring Boot framework. So you might have some question, something like, right? We already have a Spring framework. We already know the Spring framework created a big impact in the market, right? many projects in our software companies are completely based on the Spring framework only. Then why Spring Boot actually? What is an importance? So that is the question we need to get. Of course, this is a common question in the interviews also. Right. So Spring framework addressed many of the problems which are coming from the software application developments. That is, before Spring framework in the market, people need to write a lot of boilerplate code while developing the software applications. Lot of boilerplate code, whatever the module they are integrating, that can be integrating with the security, to configure the security in the software application, to configure the logging in the software application. Okay, any area, whatever the thing you are going to implement in the software application, you need to write a lot of boilerplate code. So complexity increases at that time. And also testing is very difficult in those days, that is before the Spring framework. So whenever the Spring framework introduced in the market, the goal of the Spring framework is to reduce the boilerplate code in our application and to make our application as loosely coupled. To make our application as loosely coupled. That is the main goal. That is the main reason why Spring framework introduced in the market. Okay, loosely coupled means there is no dependency between the components what we are going to develop in the project. You can say components are nothing but, you can say like an idea, components are nothing but a module. Components are nothing but what? A module, guys. You can say, for example, admin module, security module, logger module, right? Like that, a project can have multiple modules, right? It's up to my requirement. So like that, whenever if you are using the Spring framework in your application is purely loosely coupled, and also boilerplate code is reduced. That means developer no need to start the coding from line 1 for any module while integration with security or while integration with logger on any module. The developer no need to start the coding from line 1. So some amount of code is by defaultly provided by the Spring framework. What are the modules we have? Common modules I'm saying. Security, logger. Logger means we are using generally system.out.println statements, right, to print the messages. Similarly, logger. Using logger, we are going to print the logger messages, right, without using system.out.println. System.out.println is just for our understanding. At the time of learning CoreJava, we people in the initial purpose we are using system.out.println. But once if you start developing the actual project, you have to use log messages. Loggers are used for what purpose? You need to identify the application control flow or application transaction for each and every user. What went wrong? What went well? If you want to trace the control flow of the complete transaction, the messages to be persisted. The messages to be persisted, the control flow messages. Instead of using system.out.println, if I use logger messages, logger is nothing but a framework, right? Using framework, what we are going to do, we are going to write the messages. Suppose the control came to the line number 1. What happens in the line number 1? What input we received? What is an output we are expecting? If some error encountered, what is that error? So we want to persist that error messages. Okay. So where we are going to persist that error messages? in the files, logger files. Those are. How long do logger files are available? That is up to you. You can maintain the logger files up to 6 months, or if you can maintain up to 1 year history. It's up to you. So why I'm saying all these points is any library, guys, whatever the module we are going, right? That can be a security module, that can be a logger module, etc., etc. Whatever we are going, right? No need to start the code from the line number 1. Some amount of ready-made code is by defaultly provided by the Spring framework. That's the beauty of Spring framework. Okay, then Spring framework is already having a good benefits, right? Then why again the new framework introduced as Spring Boot? What is the difference here? Spring Boot is a framework. The answer to this question is Spring Boot is a framework which was implemented on the top of Spring framework by the Pivotal team. So Spring Boot is a framework which was implemented on the top of Spring framework by the Pivotal team. So that you have to understand one point here, guys. So what is the point I'm saying? The point is when we are talking, when we are going to talk about a framework which is implemented on the top of Spring framework. That means, what do you mean by that? What are the features which are offered by the Spring framework? What are the benefits which are available in the Spring framework? Everything is inherited into the Spring Boot. Okay. What are the features of the Spring framework we have? Everything is available in the Spring Boot. Additionally, Spring Boot provides some advanced features as compared to the Spring framework. Okay. Additionally, Spring Boot provided advanced features while comparing to the Spring framework. What is the advanced features? One is auto configuration. The second one is starters. These are the two important points. So Spring Boot contains all the benefits which are offered by the Spring framework. Additionally, Spring Boot comes with the two important powerful features called auto configuration, and the second one is called as starters. Okay, so what is auto configuration? I will give you a brief idea. We'll cover each of the feature of the Spring Boot in the coming examples, guys. Don't worry. So auto configuration means, generally, before going to talk about auto configuration, if you are working on the regular Spring, normal Spring applications, if you are developing, then what the developer will do, suppose let's take one use case. For example, I want to integrate with a database, MySQL database I want to integrate. Suppose if I am developing a simple Spring application, what we need to do initially, what is the main task here? The primary thing is we have to write some database configuration. What is the database URL, database username and password? Okay, all the details we need to provide to our Spring framework. And also you need to provide what type of connection pool we are going to use to create or to recycle the DB connections. The connection pool configuration setting also you have to do. That means developer need to spend some amount of time on the configuration part. How do you write a configuration in the Spring Framework application? Usually there are two ways, guys, in the Spring Framework. One is people can write the configuration by preparing configuration classes. By preparing configuration classes, you can write a configuration. At the same time, you can use Spring configuration XML file, right? So these are the two different ways you can write a configuration. One is by preparing configuration classes. This is one of the style of writing the configuration. The second way is by writing the Spring configuration XML file. This is the another way. So it's up to you. So while writing a normal Spring applications, while developing the simple Spring applications, it's up to you which way you can go. Whether you are preparing a configuration classes or Spring configuration XML file, which one you want to go, that is up to you. Okay. So this is the important thing. But what is the hard point here, guys? So every developer need to spend some amount of time on this configuration part on every module whatever they are integrating. That is like connecting with a database, we need to prepare some configuration. Like integrating with security, we need to do some configuration. Integration with the logger system, we need to do some configuration, like that, etc. We have many configurations we need to do based on the modules integration, whether it is a built-in modules, because Spring supports with a lot of modules, right? Core module, web module, security module, okay, AOP module, database communication module, like that. There are different modules are available in the Spring framework. So all those are built-in modules. Suppose in your organization, suppose if you developed a custom module, for custom module also, custom module means writing some reusable content, common content, maybe that is useful for your project or for other projects also, which are the part of your organization. Okay. So whatever the module it may be, whenever you are integrating the module into your Spring application, you have to prepare the configuration classes one of the way, or by writing Spring configuration XML file, right? Which one is better? That is up to you guys. That is completely based on the requirement. I will tell you what are the uses of each and everything while discussing practical examples on the same in the coming classes. So now, while coming to the Spring Boot, Spring Boot comes with a feature called auto configuration. That means, what do you mean by that? Developer no need to prepare the configuration classes or no need to write a Spring configuration file. So whatever the module we are integrating, can be a database module or database or security or logger, whatever the module we are using in our project development, no need to write the configuration classes. That will automatically take care by your Spring Boot. That is known as auto configuration. That means, so in Spring Boot, for every module, whenever the module added as a dependency in your project, so what happens at that time, guys? Spring Boot comes with the auto configuration processor. In Spring Boot, there is a component called auto configuration processor. So what that processor will do means, it invokes auto configuration classes it invokes auto configuration classes from each and every module what you added. Okay, there are some auto configuration classes which by defaultly available in every module at the time of integrating with Spring Boot. So what is this auto configuration classes, and how to develop this auto configuration classes, what are the rules we need to follow, etc., etc. All these things you will learn shortly, guys. In my next coming practical examples, you will understand about that point more clearly. Let's understand features in the high level view. So the point is, suppose if I integrated database module in my project, the database module contains some auto configuration classes. These auto configuration classes are invoked by auto configuration processor. Auto configuration processor is a component of Spring Boot. Okay, so what this auto configuration processor will do internally, it invokes all those auto configuration classes which was presented in that module. So what that classes will do, that classes will set up the configuration for your database. The database configuration will be set up. So what is an advantage you gain finally? No need to prepare configuration classes or no need to prepare configuration XML file. So I can say 70 to 80% the auto configuration feature only people are using. In some situations, what they will do is they will take the power of auto configuration plus additionally they will add some custom configuration. Custom configuration means they will prepare a configuration classes additionally for their project on the top of that. So they will use auto configuration feature provided by the Spring Boot. At the same time, they will add some additional configuration on the top of that. Both are used in some situations. So what are the situations that we'll see shortly? Okay. So that is about the power of auto configuration, guys. So similarly, when you come to the starters, so what are starters exactly? Starters are nothing but, I can say simply, it is a one-time shop to fetch all the required dependencies for the module. So I can say simply what is a starter exactly means. I can say simply what is an example of starter means. Starter, it is just a one-time shop. Starter is just like a one-time shop to fetch all the required dependencies for the module. It is a one-time shop to fetch all the required dependencies for the module. So what do you mean by dependencies? Dependencies are nothing but jar file. Required dependencies. Dependencies are nothing but what? The jar files for your module. So generally, for example, see, I will give an example. Suppose I want to configure web application. I want to develop a web application using the Spring framework, a normal Spring framework. Let's assume. Okay. Then for normal Spring framework, if you want to develop a web application, then for that web application development, you need to gather all the required dependencies, the libraries which are required to develop the web application. You need to Google it. What libraries are really required to develop my web application initially? We need to get all those libraries information. Those libraries, we can call it as a dependencies, and you can add them in your project. Suppose if you are developing a project on Maven, or if you are developing a project on Gradle. Maven and Gradle both are build tools only, right? I can create a Maven project or I can create a Gradle project. Both are same. But Gradle is the advanced build tool than the Maven. Okay. My project means what are the examples we are going to see in our Spring Boot going forward. You are going to learn based on the Maven project build applications, as well as you can see Gradle build applications. We'll learn both. Okay. So the problem here is, while developing the Spring applications, normal Spring applications, the developer usually need to spend some amount of time on what are the required dependencies for the module exactly. Okay. And what versions of the dependencies you need to add it here in my project. That is a challenging task. If the version mismatch happens, if there is a version conflicts happen, your application cannot run. Your application build will fail. You have to be careful while adding the dependencies manually on whatever the module you integrated. That can be web module or security module or logger module. That's a old style of programming. Okay. But while coming to the Spring Boot come up with a concept called starters. So starter, why I'm calling it as a one-time shop means, one-time shop means no need to verify what are all the required dependencies for the module we have. What are the dependencies which are required for your module? No need to worry about that, right? So all the required dependencies are packed with the starter. In fact, starter is also, we can call it as a dependency. In fact, you can call a starter as also a dependency, right? A dependency, you can simply, in your assumption, you can say starter, you can call like a bucket. A bucket, how we are carrying a huge amount of water in the bucket. Similarly, a bucket contains multiple number of dependencies for the module, right? For example, I want to develop a web application. Okay. In Spring, we have a module called the Spring Web module. Okay. For this Spring Web module, in order to integrate the Spring Web module in my Spring Boot application, I have to use a starter called Spring Boot starter web. So this is the name of the starter. So in order to integrate my Spring Web module to develop a web application, okay, to develop a web application, definitely I need to integrate Spring Web module. This module comes from the Spring framework. I told you, right? There are many modules available in the Spring framework. So Spring Web module, what are the dependencies which are required to integrate this web module? All the dependencies are bundled by defaultly, that comes with a starter, spring-boot-starter-web. So see here, the naming conventions are very important. In Spring Boot, for each Spring module, there is a starter available. Okay. For web module, the web starter. For database module, database starter. For security module, security starter. For logger module, logger starter. Like that, for every module in the Spring framework, we have an equivalent starter in the Spring Boot. So the naming convention for all the predefined starters in the Spring Boot, the naming is always begins with like this: spring-boot-starter. This is a common name, but ending word will be changed based on the module, whatever the module name we have. Okay. Similarly, if you say like Spring Jdbc module is there to integrate Jdbc into our application, we have a Spring Jdbc module. Equivalent to that, spring-boot-starter-Jdbc. See, similarly, to configure the security in our application, Spring comes with a module called Spring Security Module. Equivalent to that, we have a starter called spring-boot-starter-security, right? So for each and every module which was available in the Spring, there is an equivalent starter. For all the predefined starters, the naming convention begins with the spring-boot-starter, but the ending word is based on your web module or JDBC module or security module, the type of that name. So finally, what this starter will do, guys, I already told you, the starter is just like a dependency. The starter is just like what? It is a dependency. You can treat it as a dependency. So the starter will provide all the dependencies which are required for your web module, including versions also. So just the developer will add this starter as a dependency in my pom.xml file in the Maven project, or in build.gradle file in the Gradle project. You can just add this starter as a dependency. Then from this starter, what are the libraries which are bundled in this starter internally? All that libraries are available automatically during the build process, deployment of your application. So that what is the beauty of starter, guys? Now, no need to spend amount of time. Developer no need to Google it. What libraries are required? What are the versions are required? I'm using right version or not? No need to worry about all those things. Depends on the module what we are going to integrate from the Spring framework. For each module, we can have the equivalent starter. The conventions are same. We'll go more detail, guys, in the coming discussions step by step. So just want to introduce what is a starter exactly and what is auto configuration. Practically, once we start application development, then you can understand easily about how starter works and how auto configuration works. All right. So what is the final touch of this point? What you need to understand here, guys? The final touch is while developing the Spring Boot, Spring Boot uh, is more advanced than the Spring framework. So what are the modules which are available in the Spring framework? Everything is visible in the Spring Boot. Additionally, Spring Boot provided some advanced features like auto configuration and starters. So by using this, developers' common work is reduced while towards configuration or dependencies declaration in your project. No need to do all those things. Directly, you can start writing your actual code without doing lot of analysis on what dependencies are required for integrating the module and how to write a configuration for that module. No need to worry about all those things. That will take care by the Spring Boot behind the scenes. All right, guys. So this is what the introduction session I want to give you. Why Spring Boot is more powerful than the Spring Framework. So just I gave a little bit idea today what is the specialty of the Spring Boot. So finally, by learning the Spring Boot, we can develop a microservice applications based on the Spring Boot. That is a finishing touch. So can we develop the same microservice applications by using Spring Framework also? That is an interview question. Yes, why not? You can develop microservice applications based on the Spring Framework also, but you need to do some lot of additional work you have to do. What is that additional work? You will slowly understand once we start learning the Spring Boot. Okay, some additional work towards the coding you have to take care in order to develop a microservice applications. Remember, guys, microservice is a architecture. It is a software architecture model. So Spring Boot framework is completely, that is 100% supported to this microservice architecture model. So no need to write some additional code to support for microservice architecture while using Spring Boot. If we are using Spring Framework, you need to write, you should write, okay, some amount of additional code to support our for microservice application development. Okay, so that is about a short introduction session, guys. That is about the roadmap of the course. That's it for today. From tomorrow onwards, we are going to start an actual discussion about the Spring Boot with microservices model. Our actual course is going to start from tomorrow. Who are subscribed to my class, the people will receive my material and my recording sessions also. Everything will give it to you, and also I will give some assignments, the tasks, what you need to do in every weekend. Okay, what you need to do after completing that. We'll give some assignment so you can start working on that part also. Okay, so from tomorrow the class begins at tomorrow the class starts at 10 a.m. in the morning, 2.5 hours first session, and next session is 2.5 hours on the same day. So expecting everyone to be there. Before that, you should have a good internet connection and everything. Okay, guys. Now it's time to ask for you guys about the question and whatever the questions you have, right? Anything you want me to understand from the course perspective, let me know. I'll be answered to you. Any questions?
Yeah. Hi, Sai. So does that mean that this Spring Boot framework is just a convenience without this, whatever we are developing in Spring Boot, without the Spring Boot also we can develop with the CoreJava and Advanced Java?
Yes. So
Yes.
Spring Boot, yes, right. So CoreJava, Advanced Java, those are the very basic things. But I told you, right, there are a lot of complexities are there before introducing the Spring framework in the market. Of course, we can develop our project by learning CoreJava, using CoreJava and Advanced Java concepts, Jdbc, servlets, and JSPs. But there are a lot of complexity behind in that. That complexity related to the code development and all, that is overcome by the Spring framework with the help of loose coupling and ready-made solutions for the code, etc. So that's why people started using Spring framework at that time. Again, why Spring Boot means? Again, in the Spring framework, we have the problem like, you have to prepare the configuration classes, you have to write you have to declare all the dependencies for your module, everything you have to do it by your own. So this is some extra work, right? So we need to spend some amount of time on all the modules which are required. Again, still there is a confusion whether I'm using all the required dependencies or unnecessarily I'm adding more dependencies to my project if they are not used. Whether I'm added the right versions or not. So still there is a confusion, right? So these are all the things are avoided and reduced by introducing the Spring Boot. So Spring Boot, what I told you, auto configuration and starters. This is a powerful feature as compared to the Spring framework. And what are the features and benefits offered by the Spring framework? Everything is visible in the Spring Boot because this framework is built on the top of Spring framework. That is the point. Clear?
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Hey Abhishek, good morning. Tell me.
Yes, sir. Course duration, what's the time, sir, for Monday to Saturday, Monday to Friday?
This course will start from tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Again, next week, Saturday and Sunday. Totally 2 weekends. 2 weekends means totally 4 days, right? So every day I will take a session of 5 hours every day. There is a break in between the class also. So every day 5 hours means totally 4 into 5 hours, 4 days into 5 hours, 20 hours, right? So that will complete your course. Will cover all the concepts. And also I gave a course content to you also. You can ask DURGASOFT, they will provide the course content. What are the concepts I'm going to cover in the course and all. The notes and everything I will share to you, including the session recording also. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Fine.
Good morning, sir. Harshal Gadia. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen the course content. I mean, the course content is quite huge. Like you'll be covering Spring, Cloud, and all everything.
Yeah.
So I was wondering it will get covered in 4 days or not. And another question which I had is, normally in microservices we have that exception ending, like we return some codes and all, like using controller advice and all. Everything will be covered, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, yeah, I will answer to the first question. Actually, that's a good question, whether you are able to cover all the concepts in the 4 days or not. Yes. Why? Because examples, I will not type each and every line by line code. I will walk through whatever the code I have written in my previous batches. I will explain line by line what happens internally. And also, I'm not going to dictate the notes in my class. So I'm not dictating any notes. I will give my ready-made notes to you people. So this reduces our time. So you will focus more on the content and architecture model. So by reducing these two things, one is dictating running notes in the class, that will take a lot of time. So that's why I have my own notes. So till the end of the class, you can use the same notes. If you are interested, you can write some running points when I'm discussing my class. The second thing is examples. Whatever the practical examples I'm showing for each and every concept, all those examples are developed in the previous batches. So if any new features, new versions to be discussed or something, we'll type that code. That's not a problem. But when we walk through the existing code of the application line by line, you people no need to spend some amount of time by writing the code again and again. Even by writing the same code again and again, or even walking through the existing code of the application, that doesn't feel that much difference because the concept remains same. Even by typing the code line by line, or by walking through the existing code, I'm explaining the same flow, nothing different. So these two things reduces, I mean, it saves a lot of time. So that based on these two things only, we are going to cover all the concepts in the 2 weekends. That is totally 20 hours session. Okay,
Okay, so thank you very much.
right. Any more questions, guys?
Hello, sir. Ashika here. I just wanted to understand, you are providing us the course material and some of the new features that will be added. So that will also be added into the course contents, right?
Right,
And
right.
we will be
Everything is
having a lifetime access, right?
there. Right.
Yeah. So like, I want to know, like, if you will be providing assistance on concepts and queries after the course is completed or not? Like,
Yes, why
if
not?
we
I
wanted,
will be
yeah, if
available
we
in
wanted
the
to,
mail. I will be
yeah,
available
yeah.
in the mail. You
Okay.
can touch base with me on the mail, and also I will be available on the Facebook also chat. Okay,
Okay.
and WhatsApp number will provide to you. You can ping me on the WhatsApp. What are the queries you have? I will give different connection points in the end of the session. I will be available after that also post support. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. And one more question I had. Since during your introduction you have just mentioned like you joined back Durga classes and now you will be conducting the weekend batches also. So this weekend is fine, but next weekend actually I have some medical emergency. Because of which I wanted to know like will you be available or is there any plan to conduct this 2 weeks 2 weekend batch again? Like is there any?
Yeah. That's a good question, Asika. So there are two things for you. One is you can go through the recording session of the second week if you have a time. At the
Okay.
same time, give an option to you to re-attend to my next batch again to continue where you
Oh,
missed it. Okay?
oh, okay, okay, okay.
Any option is fine for you. Either you can go through my session recording. If you're not catching yourself, if you want to re-attend again, even
Hmm.
though the people already attended, if they want to re-attend again, we'll give you one-time permission again to re-attend the batch. Okay,
Okay, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
right. All right, guys. If no more questions, what we can do is we can wind up with today's discussion. So tomorrow we can start the session by 10 o'clock. So the same touch points I will discuss in the tomorrow as an introduction to the Spring Boot, along with these touch points what we discussed today. We'll start the actual session also, means the practical, the examples also we are going to start from tomorrow. Don't worry, we'll give the breaks. I will not take a complete 5-hour session in the single go. We'll give a breaks, multiple breaks in between the 5 hours. Really, you people will enjoy because it is more like practical things, right? Not like it a mix of theory and practical, both. So you will not get that much of bored. So I'm sure about that. So follow it me, have a good internet connectivity. Even though if you miss something, you can go through the recordings also. That's not a problem. All right, guys. All the best. And
So one last question.
yeah,
Will we be getting the course material before the course starts, or is it after the
yeah.
course completes?
Once your payment and everything, once you get clear, I will hand over the material to the DurgaSoft on-site folks will be there, right? Online folks, sorry, online folks
Yeah.
who are the connectors to you. You can reach out to the concerned person. They will share that material to your mail IDs. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mm. So anyhow, you'll get course content also. I think hopefully you got a course content. What I'm going to cover, I already shared that material. I will share it to them by today or tomorrow. Probably you'll get once everything settlement done between you and them. They will forward that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And even what are the examples I'm going to discuss in the class? Um, let's say tomorrow we discuss 10 examples tomorrow. all these 10 examples I will upload into the Google Drive. That Google Drive link also they will share to you. You can practice it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining the session. First of all, after a long time, I started my teaching again. Very wonderful to come back after the long time because I love teaching than working in the software company. Okay, so because that is my passion, teaching. So that's why from 2007 to lot of years, I am the teaching as well as consultant development side as a freelancer at that time. Later, I jumped into the software company uh, and all. And now I'm parallelly handling both teaching and see how it will go. Let's see. I want to plan in the weekends because I don't want to disturb my current work development, and let's see how it will go. So, thank you guys once again. Have a good day. We'll see you on tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Bye.